Hello and welcome back to Elden Ring. Yeah, it's been a while since I've said that. Welcome back, guys. Welcome back to Rage Gaming and welcome to patch 1.10. Yes, after months and months, we finally got a new patch for Elden Ring. It's almost entirely a PvP focused patch though, attempting to uplift the stagnant PvP scene that Elden Ring has been facing these past few months. Basically, Poise became really important, really strong, and heavy armor sets became pretty overwhelming because of that. Light, faster weapons by comparison were much harder to play, and this patch has kind of reversed all of that, really flipped things on its head. Like now, light weapons are dominating because they're actually staggering even the heavy armor users. And people are really calling this the Dark Souls 3 PvP patch, and I can see why. Personally, my experience with, say, Dark Souls 1 PvP was something like 50 to 100 hours, and I had roughly the same amount of time in Dark Souls 2 PvP. But compared to that, I had easily 10 times the amount of time in Dark Souls 3 PvP specifically. It's something I created a lot of content for, I streamed a ton of it, so I have a lot of context specifically on that. And my thoughts on this patch with that in mind then is that yes, it is indeed feeling a lot more like Dark Souls 3 PvP, but it's still Elden Ring. It's not the same. This is not Dark Souls 3 now. Let's cover what actually happened and my thoughts on all of it. So, patch 1.10. We didn't think we would get another real patch before Shadow the Erdtree, so this is really nice to see, and maybe even suggest that we might get more patches in the future. Although, to be honest, I'm not really convinced of that. This might be the last one we see for some time, and if it is, I do think it's a good one. So, as you can see, we have the PvP exclusive balance adjustments, then the general balance adjustments, and a few bug fixes. That is the entire patch. It really is not much, but the implications and kind of change this patch has created is quite big. So, PvP exclusive. Poise damage of all weapons and some spells and incantations have been increased. What this means is that all weapons are dealing more stagger, like more poise damage. So even if you're facing a guy with heavy armor like full bullgoats, you're still able to stagger him even with really light fast weapons, which is obviously a crazy change. I tested out all my PvP using a light fast weapon that is meant to not really have any poise damage, that being of course the claws here, and wow does it feel strong. The second part of that is increased poise when attacking with some skills, spells, incantations, some types of weapon attacks that generate poise, so further specifying that different attacks actually have more poise now, along with all weapons having their poise raised, and that's why it's feeling just so impactful. So what this does is it means fast weapons are likely king of PvP right now due to their ability to stagger even the heaviest armor sets. This might kill slower weapon builds in PvP as we knew them, with say running a heavy armor and heavy weapon that's meant to ensure the protection of the heavy weapon, but it doesn't kill heavy weapons exactly. What it does do is allow for mixed weapon builds finally in Elden Ring, meaning you can have a slower, heavier hitting weapon and then maybe an offhand that's really fast even if it's doing no damage. That can be used to hit and stagger and interrupt the enemy in their attacks, making evasion of that hard as well because you're mixing up the speed of your attacks, and then punish them post that stagger with maybe the slower, heavier weapon. I already faced someone today doing that, and you could tell they knew their business. They were running the Varese bouquet of all things, and it really worked and honestly destroyed me, made me very excited because I haven't seen something like that really in Elden Ring, and I used to see it all the time in Dark Souls 3. Now, interestingly, on this one, it seems they've added some sort of damage reduction when performing attacks with some skill, spells, and incantations. As this is a first reactions, I can't tell you individually what those are, but I know a lot of people are currently testing everything to find out exactly what has changed, so we can look forward to that. But basically what that seems to be to me, especially in my experience, is that in trade, we're basically not dying instantly. In old Elden Ring PvP, you could trade like 2, maybe 3 times and the duel was over. Now it feels like there's quite a lot more interactions in the PvP, meaning there's more time to survive, have more interactions and trades, and work out what the enemy's doing. I think this is going to have a profound effect on the PvP specifically, because if you're able to trade and survive more, it means you can work out what your enemy's actually trying to do and make counter plays, which is what a crazy concept, right? So much better. Next we see critical hit angles have been extended, and the general balance adjustments say increased critical hit damage overall, as well as increased poise damage of attacks that occur after missing a critical hit, and reducing the recovery time after you miss a critical hit. So that backstab animation where you miss, for example, that lasts less time, and if you actually hit someone awkwardly with it, it does a bit more. So crit damage is higher. This means backstabs, and more important to PvP, parries actually matter. For backstabs, it means we can actually land them, instead of them always just walking away from what really should have forced them into a backstab, like in Dark Souls 3. The awkward missed backstab animation is obviously improved in that we're stuck in it less time, and it provides a bit more if you do hit them with it somehow. However, if you do miss a backstab, the animation still leaves you exposed, and that leaves you to being backstabbed yourself, much like it used to be. And now I'm actually landing backstabs in PvP, which feels so good. On the other hand then, parrying. So critical hits also benefits from parrying. Parrying was a major part of the previous Souls games, but in Elden Ring, specifically PvP, you'd never really see it. Every build I made in Dark Souls 3 for PvP had parrying in mind in some way. If I wasn't running it, then I'd expect someone else to be, and I'd have to play around that. A lot of my builds would use, say, the parrying dagger for style points, and I tried that in a lot of my early builds for Elden Ring, and it just didn't work. While parrying is still very hard and high skill, even with the various ashes that do increase your parry frames and certain shields, it's actually being rewarded now, which is really nice to see, and so the really skillful parry-based players are going to be rewarded more, as they should be. Another nice detail is the decrease the invulnerable window of quickstep and hound step skills. Specifically, again, this is in PvP, meaning those really annoying constant spammers of quickstep and hound, they're not going to dominate as much, which is interesting because they really scaled back that a while ago, and they buffed it a little bit. Now they're scaling it back again for PvP. I don't know, they just don't know what to do with it. Maybe they just don't like it, but yeah, noticeable change. For the bugs and other changes, there isn't anything too ultra major. Something in my Thing series, I talked about the Sacred Order skill and how you could continue that VFX animation onto other weapons, which was cool. Looks like they've fixed that for some reason, but it's pretty minor here, just some quality of life stuff. Overall, this has really changed the feel of Elden Ring PvP. And yeah, people are calling it the DS3 patch in the way that it harkens back to the way DS3 PvP was played at its core. Now, it's obviously not a valid, fair one-for-one comparison. This is still Elden Ring, but it's also undeniable that it feels more like Dark Souls 3 than it used to. And it is a big change for the meta of PvP and how it's going to be played, and how you might even consider making builds. I think it'll shift things up in a good way, because we have been stagnant for so long. Any big change to the core of how it works is only going to be a good thing after such a long wait without any updates. So I'm pleased to see it just for that reason alone. Specifically with how this works though, I am scared that faster light weapons are just going to kind of dominate now, but I also think skillful, smart players are going to be rewarded more than ever with the mixing up of weapons, weapon swapping potentially, and of course the critical hits of backstabbing and more importantly parrying, so more people will try to parry. Maybe we'll see more of a meta around parrying again, which we've never really seen in Elden Ring. I don't know, there's something just unsaid about how this feels to me. Like my spacing and timing actually matters a lot more. It's like I'm being rewarded for those minor, fast-paced mind games that were really numbed out in Elden Ring. So overall, I am very happy, even if a bit scared of light weapons being king, but any change, something interesting to push people to play PvP again and really refresh the way that it feels. It's just a good thing. So I'm really happy and surprised to see this. For now then, I've been Hollow, you've been you, this has been a new Elden Ring video finally, and until next time, thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.